what's going on? Mike Brookfield here. I got an email from Greg Miller recently saying, why isn't there a video on vibrato on your channel? Considering, you know, a lot of what, you know, this channel is all about, Clapton, Stevie Ray, all the blues-based kind of gods of blues rock guitar. And kind of jazz and rockabilly and amongst other things. But I mean, vibrato is a big part of it. And I was like, yeah, I probably should do a video on that. So let's talk vibrato a little bit today. I'm just going to put up some lessons. Like I put one up yesterday on playing in groups of 5, just for fun. It's a banana. And I'm going to put up some fun little things like this. But I mean, like, vibrato is a serious business though, isn't it? Because it's kind of like your fingerprint. It's your, you know, it's your real voice coming through on your guitar. How you decide to... you know, pitch a note, you know what I mean, which is unique. Everybody has a unique way of singing and talking, it's, you know, this is your voice when it comes through the guitar. Now, what I'm going to say here is I'm not going to start quoting a load of facts. There are no facts here. It's like my subjective perspective on it. It's what I like, and it kind of tends to just tie in with Eric Clapton, Steve Ray Vaughan, things like that. There are other vibrato techniques I'll talk about briefly, and this is an off-the-cuff video. It's not a thesis or anything on vibrato. I'm just opening up a conversation for a bit of fun, and I'll let you know where I'm coming from on it. So I remember staring out my bedroom window as a teenager, playing guitar and working on my vibrato. And as I was doing it, I could picture Stevie Ray and Eric Clapton in my head, and Hendrix and B.B. King. I suppose they're the big 4 because, you know, there's categories and styles of vibrato that I find really interesting. So like my most common one, I was just playing a little bit of noodle in there in an A, wasn't I? So if you play A on the 2nd string, 10th fret, my default way of doing vibrato on that note is to lift the thumb off the back and do like north-south style. You're going up and down. That's my favorite style of vibrato, and it comes straight out of the Eric Clapton, you know, handbook on blues guitar, doesn't it? You know, there's something very cool about the amount of pitch change, the speed of it. It's just my personal taste. When you watch Steve Ray Vaughan, he can do that in buckets as well. You could argue maybe if you analysed it, he might be slightly wider because he digs in and he's a little bit more aggressive sometimes in his approach, isn't he? So when you're on the higher strings, it's really... You know, I'm kind of halfway between Stevie Ray and Clapton there, aren't I? You know, because I'm digging in. And every time I go to vibrato, my thumb lifts off the back, doesn't it? So that's kind of like the main voice that I use. Now, people say, well, how do you do that? And I would say, just, you know, try and do a slow vibrato and speed up. Because what you see with a lot of people when they're trying to get the vibrato down, it's kind of really sticky, and it's almost like they can't kind of get the flow on the motion of it. So if you start slow and then gradually kind of speed up, and it doesn't have to be that fast to get, and you can see here there's a pitch difference, and it's just the G JND, the just noticeable difference is just there, isn't it? You know, a little bit wider if it gets into Stevie Ray maybe. Now when you've got like the Hendrix and B.B. King, I always think of that more fanning motion, and that's kind of a faster vibrato, you know. So when you see Hendrix, you know, I had that video, you know, live at Berkeley, and I watched that a lot when I was a kid because it was just what I could get hold of. It was a you know, VHS video, the one where he does Johnny B. Good and all that kind of stuff. And you know, I just, you know, when you close your eyes, can you visualize it? If you can't hear it, you can't play it. If you can't hear it, you can't play it. You know, that's what we say around here a lot. And you can, when you visualize it, you can hear it. in your head. So when I hear Clapton, and when I hear Hendrix and B.B. King, you know, you can hear that voice. Now, I'll talk about them a little bit more and explore them. And let's just talk about other kind of like vibrato techniques that are out there as well. And the ones that kind of spring to mind for me are what I would like consider like the George Harrison one. And he does this kind of like backwards and forwards one. It's almost like a classical style vibrato. So you see it on like Get Back, you know, where they're sitting around arguing or whatever, like, and he's playing his guitar and he'll be, you know, kind of practicing vibrato or moving around the neck. And it's a more east-west direction, isn't it? Now the pitch modulation on that, I wouldn't consider to be as wide as when you're going up and down. You know, if we analyze that, the pitch is moving much more when you're going north-south than when you're going backwards. And it's a much more subtle style vibrato, and probably a more like technically correct thing, isn't it, historically, before rock and roll, before rhythm and blues and everything came along, an electric guitar type of thing, more as a classical technique, you know. So I never use that vibrato, ever, never. I never do that, never done that in my life. But I appreciate it if that's the thing that you like to do. I love George Harrison, he's one of my heroes, but like I'm naturally more drawn to up down, because I feel like I can go, I can rip into it a little bit more if I want to be Stevie, you know, or if I want to do the B.B. King. If I want to be sweeter, I'll do the fanning style one. Now, I can't do this other one, but I know that like, what's his name? Steve Vai has this kind of like, you know, circular kind of thing, and it's kind of like, you know, some slick kind of like motion, you know, and it's kind of, you know, I know he kind of does like a circular kind of like thing with it. I don't use that one either. So we've talked about 4 types of vibrato. You've got the up down, you've got the fanning one, I'm into them. You've got the what I call the George Harrison one, which is like the classical one. I never really use that one. Then you've got that Steve Vai one, which is like a circular kind of like motion one. I don't use that one. But you know, you explore them and try and find your own voice with them. Now what I will say, there's one really important thing to talk about, and that's not using vibrato. You can't use vibrato on everything, it would just make the music sound mental. So you've got to find times where you're using vibrato and not using vibrato. So when you're string bending, no vibrato, da-da, you know, so, and that didn't have vibrato, it was just like pitch bend, you know. You know, or you know, maybe, you know, that's that kind of like, it's got, you're going into Albert King style territory. You know, I wanted to vibrato with my first finger then, but I literally physically couldn't. You know, so it takes a huge amount of energy to to vibrato within a bend. Don't underestimate the power you need and the practice that will need to go into that. Okay, we all spend time practicing scales and doing like mad technical exercises, but if you're a blues guy, you're a Steve Ray Vaughan, Eric Clapton man, you got to work on that vibrato, because that's the singing quality. My wife is actually an amazing singer. She's had albums out and done really well in the past. And she uses very little to no vibrato. She has this like pure tone, which is almost, you know, Karen Carpenter-like. And I know like old singers like Anita O'Day, she used no vibrato at all. And it's a beautiful sound when you hear that. And then there's obviously there's other vocalists who use a lot of vibrato, and it's, you know, say take like Elvis Costello, or who, you know, like Aaron Neville or something, you know what I mean? It's almost tremolo, isn't it, what they do? So let's get back to this now. So my kind of recommended things for like practicing these things is to like get your vibrato going, but start slow in a motion where it's cool and relaxed. Relax those shoulders. Take some deep breaths. Play it light. Play it strong. You know, vibrato within a bend. You know, really slow, but we're trying to move around. If that's the exact in tune, we're moving around it kind of equally lower and higher, I think. I think maybe when you do the fanning one, I tend to pull down. So it's kind of like the pitch is here, but the pitch shifts up and vibrato is ever so slightly sharp when I do the fanning one, I think. Probably not really noticeable to most people, but I find that, you know, it's a sharper sound. Your pitch is a vibrato and it's raising ever so slightly, but that's me being very particular. So anyway, vibrato, that's my perspective on it, and I hope you enjoyed that video. I'm going to play a little bit in A and try and maybe use vibrato as I'm playing. I really should get more organized and just plan what I'm going to do, shouldn't I? But sometimes it's better off the cuff. It's like we're having a real conversation. Drop some comments down below. Please subscribe. And I hope all's burning and rocking with you guys out there. And any suggestions for these short video lessons, by the way, email me, drop me a message or something like that. Anyway, keep it burning. If you want to know what I'm using here, by the way, I'm just using one pedal. I'm using the Keeley DDR. It's a pedal which has reverb on one side and an overdrive on the other. So that's why, and I'm using this 1963 basement head here. So just one pedal and the basement. So this is a custom shop Strat. So let's play a little bit of A, will we? Keep it burning. See you on the next one.